Hello and welcome to part 2 of my Rhythm of War reactionary spoiler-filled reading vlog experience. I read the first half in the previous vlog, so I will link that up if you want to hear all my thoughts. And again, all of the spoilers, because I am just having so much fun reacting to this book. I'm this far right now, and I've got some thoughts since starting part 3. So this is going to be part 3 to the end, and the first was up to part 3, and here we go. I always get stressed when there are coups or invasions or takeovers. Like, I get stressed in like a good way. I'm very invested and very on the edge of my seat, and yeah, so these last couple of chapters have been stressful, and I'm very stressed because Dalinar doesn't know. No one knows. They're all just like, oh, Navani's telling us it's okay, and I guess they're using passcodes, but I guess the listeners know the passcodes. It's so frustrating. But Dalinar is currently doing this thing where he's like, okay, we'll send another team at night and be sneaky and let me know if you see anything. So I'm hoping they're going to see the fused and use the oath gates and be like, wait a second. That's what I need. Because boy, am I stressed, because Kaladin and Lift are the only Radiants standing right now. We don't know where Lift is, and like Kaladin and the Syl are not at 100%. They're struggling, but I'm so happy that the sibling, the tower, is helping. I really want to know more about the sibling. I'm like, I need to know more about them and their thoughts on Spren. And like, I love that they've been using the sibling to connect Navani with Kaladin so they can like coordinate. I very much love that. And I don't know what Kaladin's going to do. I do think he needs to be able to do something, but he can't be too reckless, and he definitely errs on the side of recklessness. And I'm wondering why adhesion works more than gravity. Like, why when a Radiant has 2 surges and they're close to the 4th ideal, did only one of them fail? I'm really, really curious. And I'm curious about, like, in general, it sounds like the tower is supposed to have more than Stormlight in it, something of cultivation. And what's cultivation's investiture? Because I feel like Stormlight is more tied to honor. There's so much I don't know and so much I want to know. And it seems like maybe Lift might be the key to that, because Lift is weird. But I love her and hate her. I don't know. I do like Lift in small doses. I think as she's becoming older, even though she hates it, I like her more. I love watching a character grow. I really do love watching that change, and she hates change, so that's a shame for her. Okay, also, we had a huge world-building reveal of Soulcasters and Oathgates actually being Spren manifested in the physical plane. I didn't know that was possible, and now I do, and that's really cool. That's just a little note. And like, what else did I write down that I liked? Oh, we've been getting backstory of Ashone and Venli, and I have missed Ashone. I'm so sad she's dead. She was so cool. And I really love watching this the first time the listeners and the Alethi met, and how excited Ashone was, and how jealous Venli is, and that sibling relationship. I think it's really well balanced, and I'm really excited to see how we got from that day 9 years ago to where Venli does join forces with a Voidspren and basically causes an apocalypse. Because I'm also hoping we'll get to understand the past more, because it seems like the listeners knew more about the past, and I want that. I need it. And let's see, what else did I write down? Ooh, I think I mentioned the last part. Robaniel, the Lady of Pain, is a very intriguing villain to me, and is interacting with Navani, and I'm very, very curious, because that's where we've learned a lot of reveals sometimes. Like, that's how we learned about the Soulcasters, and I'm very interested, like, what's her end game? Like, it seems like a lot of people want there to be an end game, and like Dalinar's searching for an end game, Robaniel's looking for one, and I really want to know where we're going to find it, because the end is not just what it used to be. Like, we cannot go back to that, but what is the future? Who's going to have that vision, and who's going to have the ability to get to that vision? I don't know. I probably won't find out this book. That's probably for sure. And I'm really stressed for Kaladin's nightmares, because Moash is a bitch, and I hate Moash. That's my strongest opinion. I don't think it's unpopular. I don't like the boy. Hopefully I don't have to take that back somewhere in this vlog. But that's the quick check-in, and I'm going to read more, and it's great. I'm having a great time. And I actually forgot, there was this whole thing with Wit and Jasnah, and Wit just like going into this High Prince, and then there was this duel, and it was this whole thing that was really cool. I just loved like Jasnah going harsher Wit, and Wit just like ribbing into this guy who's apparently very abusive to his family, so like serves him right. But I liked that, and I like having Wit along more too because he is also a source of Cosmere knowledge, and I'm excited. Now I'm gonna go back and read some more. So we have a lot of things that have happened, specifically a lot of Venli stuff I'm really interested in. So I recently just finished a chapter where Venli went into the storm, broke a gem, and I think that's when she meets her first Voidspren, who apparently was with her the whole time we've been reading Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. I didn't know that she always had a Voidspren with her, and it was like masking her. So this is the start of her conspiracy with Odium. And once again, the Stormfather showed up, and once again he's like, I guess if you want to. Like, I get that he didn't have sides, but now he obviously does have a side. It's very weird. But also, speaking of fused stuff, Leshwi, my favorite fused. She's like the Heavenly One fused who like respects Kaladin and like saved Lirin and the kid. I really like Leshwi. I honestly don't know what a good ending of the whole series would look like to me, but I do hope she's a part of the solution that I would approve of. And speaking of fused, who I'm not sure if I approve of, Rabaniel, what does she want to do with the Radiance that she's just been like collecting? I don't have warm fuzzy feelings about her. She is definitely up to no good, because she was also a fused who like basically tried to commit genocide for humans with like a disease. She's an interesting, dangerous one. I don't know where she's going. So like there's a lot of interesting stuff happening there, and I'm really intrigued. Also, side note, Mission Impossible Kaladin mode was really funny when he's just like hanging onto the wall and climbing. Like that was something. And I really loved Renarin and Dalinar's little chat. I think this was our first Renarin perspective like ever, and I'm very excited because I want more people to bond with the Gliss like Spren, and would they all be able to see the future, or just Renarin? And also Gavin and Dalinar had a cute moment together, although Gav is so old for his young age. But like Dalinar is definitely classic grandpa mode right now, where it's like, I messed up as a dad, so I'm making up for it as a granddad, which is like, I like it. That's classic. But I think those are the main things I want to talk about. Besides, who is Axandweth? Axandweth, the person who gave Venli the gemstone. Who is she? Well, I know she has a bunch of rings on her hand, and I don't think I've met her before, but I could be wrong. And also, who is writing Rhythm of War? This is like the beginning parts of the chapter. And I feel like it's obvious that it's probably Venli, but like, when is she writing it? Is she writing it now? Is she writing it in the past? It seems obvious that it has to be a listener, because there's a lot of talk of rhythms, which is obviously not something humans have this connection or resonance with. But these are all my thoughts tonight. I'm excited to read more, and I'm just loving it. All right, things have been happening. I just got to chapter 65, and in chapter 64, remember in my last vlog, I'm like, I'm real pumped to see Jasnah fight on the front lines? Well, that's what this chapter was. So it was really cool, although it didn't have like the flashiness I expected, although she did this really cool thing with oil and fire. But honestly, it was almost more interesting seeing her try to feel what a soldier feels, and that, I don't know, that persistent, like, oh, what's it called? I'm not sure how to phrase it, but just the exhaustion associated with it, and how like detached you have to be to continue just fighting on these front lines. And it was really interesting when her and Wit were chatting, and Wit was talking about how like probably this won't need to happen forever. And, you know, he's just talking about, like, what happens when you have the power of someone, you know, and it's more often that you can just kill 10,000 people at once if they're all just in a line, which is not dissimilar to how warfare has evolved for us, because now with bombs and everything like that, we've been changing tactics for years. It's very different. So I thought that was cool. But really, the cool thing, and the frustrating thing, is that Wit found out a Sleepless was sneaking in with his pens, of all things, and was like, listen, I'm sorry, but apparently they've been listening in, so we have to assume they know everything, and it might be working with the Ghostbloods, and I need to tell you about Thedekar, who we've heard about earlier, and based off this last section, the Ghostbloods are not on anyone's team but their own, because I think Mraize talking with Rabaniel, and I think Mraize was the one with Lift in the interludes. because I forgot he had a green chicken, so this makes more sense, but also like they really want to use the oath gates and they're like, I don't care. And we'll get into other cool stuff associated with him in like a second. But then Wit's like, I have to tell you about this and the Ghostbloods, and they're not like a Roshar thing, and like they're really dangerous, and then it's a ... And the next chapter is not Wit talking. Also, I like really want Wit and Jasnah to be in a relationship or something, like really bad. And like it's like frustrating that they're not like main characters, but I do love when I see them. So that was a really good chapter. Like I said, I liked the fighting, I liked the world building, I liked the internal character work. It was like a really good blend. So yeah, what else do we got? Oh, I have a lot of world building musings. So Lifelight sounds super cool. I guess I always thought that there had to be, especially now that we have Void Light. And now we've also been talking about tones. And I was thinking about this, light and tones. So in science, right, both of those have frequencies associated with them. And so I'm just wondering, what are the frequencies associated with each? Because that's what connects sound and light, are frequencies. They're just at different parts of it, and that's just how their energy could be different. So I'm wondering how that would work, if like how Sanderson's incorporated that into the magic. I'm really interested to see what Navani comes up with. The next chapter is called Hypothesis, so like maybe. What else? Oh, I don't know if I've said this before, but I just like, while I was reading this section, was like, you know, I bet there are only 9 fused types, because maybe the whole idea of a bondsmith is not like an odium related thing, so they wouldn't have that. Plus, fused only have 1 of the surges, they never have 2 like the radiants apparently. And also, I really want Dabbid now to bond with the sibling. I feel like I would really like if Dabbid was a bondsmith. Like, I would really like that. So I'm calling it here. That's what I want. I know I was on the Navani train earlier, which I'd still be happy, but like Dabbid would be cool. And let's see. Oh, the chapter beginnings of this section are very confusing. And so it's a book called Rhythm of Wars, and I don't know when it's written. And it's obvious to me now that there's also a second person writing, because there's this undertext. So it's someone who's scholarly reading this work and then responding to it. And they're talking about sand? I'm very confused. Hopefully it makes more sense by the end, or maybe in a future section. But I feel like I'm missing something there, and I'm very intrigued. And so those are like my world building musings. I really liked the Venli and Raylan like reunion. I thought that was really awesome. And what is Raylan going to tell Hesina? Like, what knowledge is he going to share? I do like how he's decided, like, you know, I don't want to be on Team Odium. Odium like actually has already committed genocide with my people. So like, yes, the humans are like not the same. Like, they're both bad, but it's a false equivalency battle. I still think that I don't know where I want this series to go or end in terms of like a quote-unquote solution to this conflict, but I do like how he explained his viewpoints. And then we had some good Kaladin stuff in here. I really liked when he had to go defend one of the nodes, and that fight with the Pursuer was so good. And he's so clever. Like, I know sometimes Kaladin's emotions get ahead of him and he'll pick fights he shouldn't and do things that maybe I don't agree with. But when he does like think tactically, it's just like, that was clever, man. That was cool, because, you know, he just locked the Pursuer in a closet, and I'm just like, all right. And he's like, I like that he practices. Like, he was practicing with the gauntlet Navani gave him, and I appreciate that. Like, he is not a character who just like is naturally talented, although that is a part of it. He recognizes that he has to practice. And I like that, and I like that Syl and Kaladin are talking about their like mental health more to each other and going to lean on each other more. But yeah, I'm obviously having fun. Well, I want to try and finish part 3 today. That'd be amazing. There's so many questions. I don't even know what's gonna happen, but I guess I'm gonna find out. All right, finished part 3, which means I am this far into this tome. Only 400 pages left. Ooh, world building musings. Let's start with that, because Navani has hypothesized about things that are in line with my hypotheses. So we got light, we have anti-light, which was probably part of the thing that started that bomb, which is not the same as void light, or stormlight, or life light, which she was doing those really cool prism experiments, which like I won't get into, but it was cool, and it kind of did prove to me that they do have resonant frequencies. Anyways, It's a different thing, but I was trying to think of what would be the opposite of light. And we do have like things that can cancel sound. You use like deconstructive interference, so you have the same amplitude and frequency, but the phase is off. And I'm not going to go into that here, but I'm wondering if it'll be something like that or if it'll be something else. Musings and learning about the pure tones of Roshar and how like maybe the sibling needs to have the third tone incorporated into their new maybe like 3 light combo thing, which like brings to the forefront that when Navani was like, well, what about binding with this listener? And I'm like, oh, I hadn't even thought of Raylan. I'm still kind of more Team Dabbit, especially with like his A+ effort in this section, but like I'm cool with it if it ends up being Raylan. I think that'd be really interesting because he would be like the perfect one. Like for someone who hears the tones to be with a sibling who needs these tones, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I really liked learning about those tones. Ooh, Dalinar is like, oh, aha moment how there is a bondsmith. It's just like a crazy herald that he is fighting against right now. So that's something. Not the Skybreaker, it's a different herald, I think, the like god priest or something. But it is interesting, like his powers. I want to know more. I'm like Dalinar, it's like I want to know what you can do. And again with the tones of Roshar though, like I was geeking out when Navani was talking about the types of music. Like it's little world building stuff, but I love it as like a music person, which I guess I don't talk about on my channel a lot, but I'm very into music, so learning about their different scales was geeking out. And how we got to know about the ancient singers when Venli connected with the wall, that was so cool. Like how they used to just be able to sing to mold the things they needed from rocks. Like how this planet is working more and more with sound. I'm geeking out about it, and I'm really interested to learn more. So that's like my world building musings since finishing it. I have some thoughts about Rabaniel. She's a sneaky fused. She was so, I did not see that coming. Maybe I should have, that she was listening in on the sibling and Navani's conversations, but I didn't see that coming. She was sneaky. That was something. And I totally think she's looking for a nuclear bomb option. Like, I don't think she wants to end the war for like peace. I think she wants to remove humans from the face of the planet. And I think she feels that having a weapon of mass destructive would be helpful for this. So that's what I think. I don't believe her for a second, but I did feel sorry for her when like we found out the insane fused was her daughter. That was like kind of a nice moment. Speaking of people having a rough time, Kaladin's, whew, he's doing the most. Oh god, I was so stressed during that well scene when he had to go save that other node, and him and Syl got separated, and he's not healing. And I liked that Leshwi was like low-key helping. Like, I'm on team Leshwi versus Rabaniel in terms of like the fused who I think I can get behind. Although I do think Rabaniel's a fascinating villain. But boy, I mean, I'm glad that the Stormfather was able to, like, with Dalinar kind of save Kaladin, but like, there are so many reasons why I'm always worried about Kaladin, and honestly, this was not even like number 3 on the list. Like, that boy is just, he can't catch a break, man. There are a few characters who I feel as bad for as Kaladin. One of them is like Fitz from like the Farseer trilogy, so I just like, poor Kaladin. And now we had these really cool interludes. So I liked all of them. The Taravangian stuff was so interesting. I just think Taravangian is a really well-constructed pseudo-antagonist, because even within himself there's this huge war, because we had like the dumber side of him. Like, why aren't we trusting Dalinar? That doesn't make sense. Whereas like the arrogant side of him when he's smart, it's like, no, we can't trust Dalinar, and Seth won't trust him, and like he has a good idea. Nightblood is probably really dangerous to highly invested things like a shard, like Odium. This all makes sense, but Seth won't listen because Seth has no reason to trust Taravangian, because Taravangian is an untrusty individual, but not when he's like dumber. So like, it's a missed opportunity when it makes complete sense. So it's both frustrating and awesome. And Cheery Cheery got a chapter. Freaking love Cheery Cheery. I don't know how that chapter makes sense if you didn't read Dawnshard. Maybe it does. But I have a Dawnshard review, and at the time I didn't know if you should read it before Stormlight. I still think you can get away without reading it. Many people have. But that chapter made a lot more sense to me than probably people who haven't read the novella. But I love that Chiri Chiri can think and talk, and that like the chapter ends when he's like trying to talk so he can like convey useful information. I also don't know if Chiri Chiri is a he. I just assigned a pronoun, and I don't know if that's the correct pronoun for Chiri Chiri, but that's what's happened here. Have just confirmed Chiri Chiri is a she. And I do think actually I might wrap this vlog up here because it's already kind of getting long and I can't imagine I'll have less to talk about in parts 4 and 5. So I will probably edit this and put this out there for those who, I don't know, like the Rhythm of War month we're all having together, and look forward to more spoiler vlogs on parts 4 and 5, either together or separate, depending on what nonsense happens in the future. So yeah, keep in mind, if you do comment down below, please nothing past part 3, like through part 3 is fine, but nothing part 4 and further. I am still reading and I don't want anyone to be spoiled in the comments down below. Otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.